When people picture billionaires, they usually imagine men in crisp suits sitting on piles of money. But India's richest women? They're rewriting the game-building beauty empires, running tech giants, and even turning tragedy into billion-dollar triumphs. Let's take a look at 10 of the richest Indian women on earth. 10. Falguni Nayar, the beauty mogul who redefined India's e-commerce. Imagine leaving a cushy job as a managing director at one of India's top banks in your 50s, when most people are planning retirement, and instead deciding, you know what, I'm going to sell lipstick online. That's exactly what Falguni Nayar did, and today she's sitting on a fortune of around $3.64 billion thanks to her company Nykaa. What started as a niche e-commerce platform has grown into India's go-to beauty and lifestyle marketplace. When Nykaa went public in 2021, the IPO became one of the most successful in India's history, turning Falguni into a self-made billionaire overnight. But what's remarkable is not just the money, it's the cultural shift she triggered. Nykaa gave Indian women something they didn't have before: direct access to premium beauty products, all from their phones. And it's not just a one-woman show anymore. Her daughter Adwaita is already steering Nykaa fashion, while her son Anchit looks after the retail business. In other words, Falguni isn't just building wealth, she's building a dynasty. But while Falguni built her empire in beauty, the next woman made billions in software and managed to do it while staying practically invisible. 9. Radha Vembu, the silent billionaire behind Zoho. Now here's a curveball. Everyone knows Nykaa, but how many of you have heard of Radha Vembu? Odds are, not many, and that's exactly the point. Radha is the majority stakeholder of Zoho Corporation, India's SaaS giant with over 60 million users worldwide. Her net worth hovers around $3.3 billion, which makes her one of the richest women in India. And yet, she's a complete enigma. Unlike the usual billionaire lifestyle of flashy cars, high society parties, and magazine covers, Radha stays so low-key that you'd walk past her in the street without even realizing she basically owns one of India's most successful tech companies. She doesn't give interviews, she avoids the media, and her public appearances are practically non-existent. In a world where everyone is obsessed with personal branding, she's chosen total invisibility. And here's the wild part. She's richer than most Bollywood A-listers combined. If Falguni Nayar is the face of glamour and visibility, Radha Vembu is the ghost billionaire, powerful, silent, and quietly reshaping global software from the shadows. If Radha is the billionaire you've never seen, the next woman is her polar opposite, thrust into the spotlight by tragedy, only to rise as one of India's most resilient business leaders. 8. Anu Aaga, the woman who turned tragedy into triumph. Some fortunes are built on ambition, others on resilience. For Anu Aaga, it was both. When her husband, the chairman of Thermax, died suddenly in 1996, the company was already struggling financially. To make things worse, just a few years later, she lost her son as well. Most people would have walked away from the chaos. Anu didn't. She stepped up, rebuilt the company, and turned Thermax into a billion-dollar leader in energy and environmental solutions. Her net worth today is estimated at $4.5 billion, but honestly, money is just part of the story. What makes Anu stand out is her refusal to let tragedy define her. Instead, she channeled her energy into not just saving a business but also giving back. After retiring from Thermax's board, she dedicated herself to philanthropy, with education being her biggest cause. Through Teach for India, she has impacted thousands of young lives, proving that wealth isn't just about personal comfort, it's about legacy. Anu's story is proof that even in the darkest times, resilience can turn grief into growth. From boardrooms to classrooms, her influence stretches wide. From tragedy to triumph, Anu's story is inspiring. But our next billionaire was born for the global stage, leading one of Silicon Valley's most powerful tech firms. 7. Jayshree Ullal, the Silicon Valley cloud queen. If you've ever wondered who keeps the internet's backbone running smoothly, meet Jayshree Ullal, the London-born, Delhi-raised powerhouse who now rules Silicon Valley's networking world. As the CEO and president of Arista Networks, Jayshree oversees a company that supplies the cloud infrastructure powering the likes of Google, Microsoft, and Facebook. Translation? If she sneezed, half the internet might just catch a cold. Her path wasn't exactly smooth sailing. After moving to the US, For her studies in electrical engineering, Jayshree quickly rose through the ranks at Cisco Systems, becoming a pivotal force in their networking dominance. But when she took over Arista in 2008, the company was still a fledgling startup. Under her watch, it transformed into a multi-billion-dollar giant, now valued at over $60 billion. Her personal net worth? Around $4.8 billion, making her one of the richest women of Indian origin in the world. What makes Jayshree stand out is that she isn't just a boardroom executive. She's hands-on, deeply technical, and still involved in product strategy rare for a CEO at her level. And while her fortune is staggering, her influence in global tech is arguably worth even more. If Jayshree is India's queen of the cloud, the next woman's empire is built not on data, but on tractors that literally reshape the face of Indian agriculture. 6. Mallika Srinivasan, India's tractor queen. Few billionaires can claim to have transformed the lives of millions of farmers, but Mallika Srinivasan can. As the chairperson and CEO of Tractors and Farm Equipment Limited, she presides over the world's third-largest tractor manufacturer. Her company exports to over 100 countries, and under her leadership, TAFE has become synonymous with agricultural progress in India. Net worth? Roughly $5 billion, and all plowed from the soil up. Mallika didn't stumble into this role by chance. With an MBA from the Wharton School, she could have taken a safe corporate job abroad. Instead, she came back to India and joined her family's tractor business in 1986. What she did next was pure strategy. Expand globally, diversify product lines, and invest in technology. The result? TAFE is now an agricultural titan, producing affordable, reliable machines that empower farmers from Tamil Nadu to Tanzania. But Mallika isn't just about numbers and market share. She's equally recognized for her philanthropic initiatives in healthcare, education, and rural development. Add to that her sharp intellect and reserved elegance, and it's no wonder she earned the moniker Tractor Queen. While Mallika plowed wealth from the soil, the next billionaire matriarch generated her fortune by wiring electricity into nearly every Indian home. 5. Vinod Rai Gupta, powering India's homes. If you've ever switched on a fan, flicked a light switch, or charged your phone in India, chances are Havells had something to do with it. At the heart of this electrical empire is Vinod Rai Gupta, the matriarch who, after her husband's passing in 2014, helped steer Havells India into a household name recognized across the globe. Her fortune now stands at $5.5 billion, and it's literally wired into the walls of everyday life. Havells started as a small electrical goods company decades ago, but under the Gupta family's vision, it ballooned into one of India's biggest consumer electrical brands. Wires, cables, fans, switches, appliances, you name it, Havells makes it. And unlike many industrial empires, Havells is built to last. Innovation, branding, and distribution have kept it leagues ahead of competitors. Vinod's role isn't just financial oversight. She's been integral to shaping the company's strategy alongside her son Anil Rai Gupta, ensuring the empire continues to thrive in India's hyper-competitive market. Beyond business, her philanthropic wing, the QRG Foundation, channels wealth into healthcare, education, and social development, lighting up more than just homes. From switches and sockets to entire smart homes, Havells has electrified India. But while Vinod powered up daily life, our next billionaire took things to another level, lighting up entire malls, department stores, and luxury retail chains across the globe. 4. Renuka Jagtiani, the retail empress. Step into any mall across Dubai, Riyadh, or Bangalore, and chances are Renuka Jagtiani owns the checkout counter where you swipe your card. As the chairperson of the Landmark Group, she presides over a retail and hospitality empire sprawling across more than 20 countries, with brands like Lifestyle, Max, Home Center, and Splash practically dominating Middle Eastern and Asian shopping culture. Her journey isn't a conventional boardroom tale. Renuka wasn't the one who founded the group that was her late husband, Mickey Jagtiani. But when he passed away in 2023, she didn't just hold the line. She expanded aggressively, proving herself as a sharp strategist who understands the ever-changing demands of retail. Today, her net worth hovers around $5.6 billion, and she's regarded as one of the most powerful women in global retail. What sets her apart is how seamlessly she blends family business with modern corporate vision. Under her, Landmark has grown beyond just fashion and home goods. It now has hospitality and healthcare ventures, cementing itself as a lifestyle empire. For millions of Indian expats across the Gulf, Landmark stores aren't just brands, they're part of their everyday lives. Renuka may rule the malls, but our next billionaire rules markets quite literally, because she inherited the fortune of none other than India's Warren Buffett. 3. Rekha Jhunjhunwala, the Big Bull's heiress. When Rekha Jhunjhunwala, India's own Warren Buffett, and the legendary Big Bull of Dalal Street passed away in 2022, all eyes turned to his wife, Rekha Jhunjhunwala. And while most headlines painted her as just an heiress, she's proven she's far more than that. With a fortune of around $8.5 billion, Rekha now manages one of the most closely watched portfolios in India. Her holdings span across healthcare, banking, and infrastructure industries that will shape the backbone of India's growth story for decades to come. Names like Titan, Tata Motors, and Metro Brands still sit inside the Jhunjhunwala family portfolio, and Rekha has shown little hesitation in holding her ground in volatile markets. But her role isn't confined to stock tickers and financial reports. She's also deeply engaged in philanthropy, continuing the legacy of the Rekha Jhunjhunwala Foundation, which funds education and healthcare initiatives. Quiet, composed, and strategic, Rekha represents the balance between inherited wealth and active stewardship, a difficult act to pull off in the glare of India's business media. Rekha may have inherited the bull's fortune, but the next woman took wealth and transformed it into cultural power, building one of the world's greatest private art collections. 2. Kiran Nadar, the art billionaire. If there's one person who proves that wealth can be measured in canvases and culture as much as cash, it's Kiran Nadar. Married to Shiv Nadar, founder of HCL, she commands a personal fortune of around $8.6 billion. But what truly sets her apart is how she's used her wealth not just to build businesses, but to preserve and elevate Indian art on the global stage. Kiran founded the Kiran Nadar Museum of Art in New Delhi, India's first privately funded contemporary art museum. Her collection, spanning modern masters like M.F. Hussain to contemporary icons, ranks among the world's greatest private holdings. In many ways, she's become the cultural custodian of India's artistic legacy, ensuring that priceless works remain in India rather than being scattered across global auction houses. Beyond art, Kiran is also a key force behind the Shiv Nadar Foundation, which funds schools, universities, and educational programs, directly impacting thousands of students every year. It's a striking dual role, one hand nurturing culture, the other investing in future generations. Kiran Nadar has painted herself into history, but the final spot is reserved for the undisputed queen, the richest Indian woman alive, whose empire is built not on brushes or stocks, but on steel, power, and political clout. 1. Savitri Jindal, the steel matriarch. At the very top stands Savitri Jindal, the matriarch of the O.P. Jindal Group, and by far the richest woman in India. With a staggering fortune of around $43.7 billion, she is not only India's wealthiest woman, but also one of the richest women in the entire world. Her rise wasn't planned. When her husband, O.P. Jindal, died in a helicopter crash in 2005, Savitri was thrust into leadership. Many assumed she would be a symbolic figurehead. Instead, she proved them all wrong. Under her stewardship, the group expanded its steel, power, and infrastructure businesses into global giants, cementing Jindal as a household name not just in India but across continents. Her influence extends far beyond business. Savitri entered politics with the Indian National Congress, served as a cabinet minister in Haryana, and has long been a powerful voice in both industry and governance. The combination of steel and statecraft makes her one of the most formidable figures in India's economic and political landscape. Philanthropy also runs through her empire, with initiatives in education, healthcare, and rural development touching millions of lives. But at her core, Savitri remains the archetype of resilience, a woman who turned personal tragedy into an empire worth tens of billions. From ghost billionaires to steel queens, this list proves one thing: India's wealth is no longer just in the hands of men. It's being built, guarded, and expanded by women who don't just inherit fortunes, they run empires.